if you want to be great, like we're supposed to be wealthy, we're supposed to have peace, we're supposed to have an abundance, our cup is supposed to run over. But fear, like I even tell my little boy, you may feel fear, but you will not respond to fear. And that feeling, because we all have it, you got to ignore it. Like, no, you're your biggest hater when you're afraid. You worried about all these outside haters. No, you're your hater, right? We are not going to fear. We're not going to respond to it. We're going to feel it because we're human, right? But that means do it. To me, fear means do it. Just let it go. And I think that's what stops people from.
Drop the mic.
Bam.
So we're going to take.
Many people are stuck in the place that they're in largely because of the fact that they're not around people that challenge them. And it's not that they don't know those people don't challenge them, it's that they're scared to be alone.
I am going to make a personal commitment to execution over perfection.
Right now, my company is making, over $200,000 a month.
If you give me a piece of music, what am I going to play? And you put that same, piece of music or elements of music in the hands of Michael Jackson, what is that going to create? Little becomes much when you place it in the hands of the master.
Welcome to another edition of Believers Breathe, the podcast, which the aim is to sit down with beautiful people, entrepreneurs and leaders who embrace self-awareness, self-confidence, and self-worth. And I have an awesome entrepreneur and leader with me today. I'm excited about this conversation because I think it's going to have a couple things it's going to do for us today. One is we're going to learn from a business owner, but two, I'm going to see if we can get us a free session. We'll
I
see.
knew that was coming.
We'll see how that goes. But tell us who you are.
I think, therefore I am. But my name is Nye. I am a licensed psychologist, a behavior analyst, a mom, a wife, a friend, an individual, most importantly, a woman. And I enjoy people. I like to serve, I like to help, and I like to enjoy myself as well. That's who I am. And I'm an avid reader, and I love wine.
What you reading right now?
Right now, I'm reading 2 books, Henry and June. Henry and June is based on the life of my favorite author, which is Anais Nin. She's French and Cuban. She passed away in the 1980s, but the way she expresses femininity, sexuality, and art, I just can't stay away from her. And then the other book I'm reading is political. I'm reading Mary Trump's book about Donald Trump, because I think it's important to understand the psychology of the man that has pretty much taken over our country.
I always am intrigued about leadership because we have people that we coin as good leaders, but leadership in the same way works for those that are not so good leaders. And I think, for me, when I think about Donald Trump, for him to even be able to get people on board with his thought process, his ideologies, the things that he thinks about people and this country, although I don't agree with it, I must say I'm impressed with his leadership. I'm impressed with it.
Okay, well, I'm going to counter that.
Okay.
I can see that perspective, but I have a different perspective. I look at its followers and determine the leader. So for me, if a bunch of foolish people are following you, then that makes you a foolish leader. And that's a little less impressive.
Okay. I'll take that. So you said that you are a licensed psychologist. I'm not that smart. So
You're smart.
Can you tell us what that means?
That means Well, I've been doing it since I was 24, so I've been doing it for 18 years in October. And I pretty much assess, diagnose, and use therapeutic approaches to help people solve their own problems. I do not solve problems for people. I create a space that allows people to be only who they are, not all the titles that come along with their day-to-day life, just who they are, to open, to speak, and then I challenge sometimes the things that they think and say to see if it makes sense. Does it make sense? Does it not make sense? Oh, you said this, that's a contradiction. So how does that contradiction play out in your life? You get what I mean? Because if you're saying one thing, but you're doing something different, and you can't figure out why you're not meeting your goals, it's because you're living your life in contradiction. So what you need to do is something we call in cognitive behavioral therapy, which is
come on, let's be nerdy.
Which is reframing. I encourage the client to rethink their experiences and to give me a better way of completing a task. So for example, if they're saying something like, I want to lose weight, but when they are craving something or they're having a stressful day, they're going to eat something that soothes them, that comforts them, right? And so I'll say, well, how does that fall in line with your goal? And they say, well, the goal is off the table at the time, right? Because I'm feeling stressed. So then I say, okay, what else can you do to distress, right? And so now we're starting to talk about other things that they can do to distress, because sometimes behaviors are automatic. And sometimes we have to reframe our thinking in order to think other thoughts that are already there, but we're not used to using them. So if they say something like, okay, well, and it doesn't have to be something like go work out. No. What about if I just eat something different that is less, that doesn't contribute to the weight gain, right? So, and it may not even have to be that. But what about I'm gonna go to the movies, or I'm going to go get some yogurt, right? Like non-fat yogurt, and have a couple of fruit or something on top of it. You're still doing what you would typically do, which is eat, but you're changing what you're eating.
You mentioned that the behavior is automatic. How do we get to making behaviors automatic?
We have to unlearn behaviors. Like from birth, our parents or guardians or whoever has raised us, or our outside influences, our social influences, have taught us things that we typically use in our own lives. Well, if it no longer serves us, or if it's not getting us what we think we want or we need, then we stop doing that thing. We teach ourselves, okay, this is what I would initially do, or I would typically do. And you tell yourself that. What would you typically do? If I'm stressed out, I will grab this. Okay, that's what you would typically do. So stop, Nye. What else could you do? Because that's typical. Do something different. And it could be something completely unproductive to the goal, but at least it's different.
That's good. That's good. So take me through why is somebody contacting you? Like, why would I reach out to you for a session?
Most of my clients come to me because they're depressed. And they do not see a way out of that depression. Or, back in my younger days, people were mandated to come to me in order to fulfill like probation or whatever. I've worked with a range of clients, from killers and, pedophiles, and to children that are autistic, and people that just have mood disorders, depression, dissociative identity disorder, which is, it used to be called multiple personality disorders, and alters and all different things like that. So typically they come to me if they are depressed or if they are stuck.
With
It's
the hope.
almost like a glitch, like a computer glitch. Like you can't figure out how to decode or get out of that system, so you want to restart. So you'll turn the computer off, and then you'll restart the computer again. But they don't know how to restart. So they come to me or any other clinician, and they're looking for us to help fix that glitch. Because if you think about it, I was thinking about this in the car the other day, like, we all get on the road and we're driving, we're programmed. When it's yellow light, we slow down. When it's red light, we stop. Well, what's wrong with the person who, when it's a red light, they keep going? There's a glitch, right? Because all the rest of us are programmed, right? So we have to figure out what makes that person not pay attention to that red light, where the majority of people are paying attention to that red light. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's good. So when people come to you with the need for a restart, day one, I'm assuming that there's probably a barrier up for them in trying to figure out, like, how do I convey what exactly is going on to this person who I probably have never really met before, who is trying to unpack stuff that probably is years and years of buildup. How do you break through to get them to let that guard down?
I build a rapport. Okay, so the first 4 weeks of therapy with me is building the relationship and the trust and creating a comfortable and safe environment. And oftentimes we're not even talking about anything pertaining to the issue. We're just talking as if, like, you and I are speaking. And so slowly but surely, they consistently come back, right? Because everything progresses with consistency. So the more they come back at the same time every day, they're expecting this person, right? That changes mental health already. There's one consistent thing in your life. So happen it might be just your therapist, but that starts to break down walls and eliminate barriers, because you can count that every Wednesday at 2 p.m., I'll be sitting in my office waiting for you. And maybe in every other aspect of their life, nothing else is that consistent. But they know that is going to happen for sure. And that breaks down the barriers.
That's good. That's good. They say that repetition is the father or mother of learning. And I think that when you speak about that consistency, I do think it gives us a sense of comfort to know that this person is there for me, and they must be there because they care. And I think a lot of people don't experience that consistency in their life, and because of that, they don't feel like they've been cared for before.
I think sometimes people aren't very good at showing that they need care. We can't always assume that everybody is going to know what to do with you. And we also can assume that everyone is intentional with you. So sometimes you have to state what you need, or it doesn't even have to be so direct. It can even be indirectly stating what you need, but you have to be able to show a level of vulnerability, or people will overlook you, right? And also, when you are in that situation and people can see or are in a position to be cared for, what do you do with that care? Do you take it for granted? Do you make people feel awful for caring for you? Because if that's the pattern of behavior, then people are not going to care. You're not going to come across a lot of people that are going to care for you, because you don't make people feel good for doing it. People typically don't do things unless it makes them feel good. Like, we all have intrinsic or extrinsic motivations, right? And a very decent person could have good intentions, but if you do it without saying thank you, if you do it without showing gratitude, that very decent, beautiful person is going to stop doing those things because it doesn't feel good to do for it. Why would I do something for you if it doesn't make me feel good to do it? Right? And someone like myself, if I can't be all that I am with you. And I'm not saying this is the answer, but this is just something I do. I don't really want to be around you because God has given me many gifts, right? I feel my best when I get to use them all. I don't want to feel like I have to hold back or have to be on the defense because you're arrogant or you're selfish or any other virtue that doesn't coincide with what I'm trying to do, or you're going to take advantage of me. So now I have to put my guards up and I have to like watch you like a hawk. No, that's not my space. That's not my peace. My peace is to give and to love. And if I can't be around people that I'm able to do that from, then I just remove them from my life. That makes sense, because I want to continue to grow. And then there are pockets and moments in my life where I feel up to being around people that are selfish and arrogant, and I can give and go about my way. But that can't be a consistent thing, because what are they going to do with it, right?
That makes sense. So I think that most of the people listening to this podcast are probably going to be most interested in how this plays out in intimate relationships.
Okay.
So one thing you just said that sticks out to me is we have to teach people what we need. And I think that is like, it's hard to do at times. And so can you give me some insight into how that can happen in an intimate relationship?
Okay, so it is very difficult, because sometimes what we need doesn't coincide with the other partner's strengths. So what if what we want is their weakness? Like, they don't know how to do it, right? So your first instinct is to think, okay, well, I'll model it. I will be what I want, because, you know, that's so cliche, and that's what all the wise people say, right? You know, what did Gandhi say? You know, be the change you wish to see, right? That doesn't work all the time, sorry, Gandhi.
Okay.
That doesn't work all the time. It works sometimes. So how do we teach people to love us, right? We tell them the truth. We tell them when we like something. We tell them when we don't like something. We praise and elevate them when they do the things that we like, so they remember, like, ooh, you know, it's almost like rewarding. You reward them when they do the things you like. Sometimes someone will do something that you like and you don't reward them. You just say thank you. You don't make a big deal of it, right? But sometimes you got to make a big deal over it, because the reward, the teaching is in the reward, right? Sometimes when we say something, or when someone does something that we don't like, we don't say anything. Okay, well then, if you don't say anything, how is that person supposed to know what it is that you need? How do they know that they're even doing anything wrong? Because when we start looking at that, we got to look at how people were raised, their relationships that they've observed in their parents, et cetera, come to terms with self-awareness, right? Everybody isn't aware of their own behaviors, right? So, long story short, one of the ways that you can teach somebody how to treat you is by rewarding them when they are treating you right, right? And then having conversations when you guys are having conflict, having conversations, but don't like beat it to death. You know, some people, they're like constantly want to talk about their problems or what they don't like. And I just think that is non-productive. It's casual. Like, I don't really like that, you know, and I don't like it because, you know, and that because is important, because they may forget what you don't like, but they'll remember why you don't like it, right? And so at that point, you start to see your relationship a little bit better when you communicate these things and the why, and they still do these behaviors. Then you're looking at, okay, perhaps my person doesn't know how to love appropriately, right? Because love says, I'm not perfect, but if there's something that bothers you, I'm going to try. And trying doesn't mean, oh, that's another thing. Whew. People say, I'm going to try to do better, right? And I don't know what try looks like for some people, but this was a perfect example too. So I was going into the mall or the store somewhere, and it was this guy and this girl, and they were walking to the car. And she was getting ready to go on the passenger side, and he had walked to the driver's side. And then you could see him do this, and then stop and come back around and open the door for her on the passenger side. That's what trying looks like to me. That is not his typical instinct, but he told himself, he unlearned a behavior, right? Oh, wait, let me go open the door for her, and then came around. It wasn't just like he normally does it. It didn't feel like that. It was, I'm working on being better, right? Trying is actually doing. It's not like I attempted and failed.
And then I'm done with it.
No, it's actually doing it, but you made a mistake first and you thought about it and it may be delayed. To me, trying is delayed effort, right? Bye. Let me have a sip of this wine.
That's good. That's good. So have you read the 5 love languages? Are you a fan, or do you think that it is tries to segment the way we love too much? Does it constrict love in a way that you disagree with, or are you like, it's on point?
I think it's a baseline.
Okay.
But I think it's necessary because you need a starting point. You got to think like the 5 love languages are for the people who don't know anything, right? And so for those who know something, we're like, well, this is not enough. There are other areas. But if you look at those 5 points of love languages, it can branch itself out. And oftentimes, because I'll do it with couples, and sometimes they'll go, well, I have 2, right? And I'm like, no, you only can have 1 dominant, right? And so I'll go through how I describe. It's so funny in couples therapy. The way I describe love languages is the same ones for women. I have to describe it completely different for men. So acts of service, for example, for a woman could be taking out the trash, going to pick up the kids, fixing something. But for a man, acts of service is a massage, cooking food, right? Because I can see I always know when I have to switch it, because either the guy will say, oh, I don't need none of that, right? I don't need none of that. But then when I say it in his language, in his way, he's like, oh, no.
I need that.
Yeah, that's what I need, right? So I do think it's necessary. It's an excellent baseline. But I also think agape, eros, platonic, love, all of those different definitions of love is necessary. And I also believe in the triangular perspective of relationships, which is commitment, intimacy, and friendship.
Say more.
Okay, so, and this is another one that trips people up too in couples counseling. Like, they'll tell you, they'll have minimal to say, but again, it's a baseline. I'll say, okay, where are you guys here? Do you guys have the commitment and the intimacy, or the commitment and the friendship? And nobody ever has all 3 completely. Nobody. I don't have it. Nobody I've ever come in contact with all these years have it. There's always one that is lacking. And that's where you grow.
Commitment, friendship, intimacy. So is it that it's not present at all, or not present enough?
It's not balanced. And, I make people mad, especially women. I make people really mad when I give this perspective, but I'm gonna give it anyway. I personally do not believe that your spouse should be your best friend. And the reason why, from observation and my own personal experiences, I think sometimes men and women have a hard time putting one down for the other. It's confusing, right? And so for me, in my relationship with my husband, I want him to look at me as his wife, as the person who is his soft place, sexuality, intimacy in terms of like, comforting him, nurturing. I don't want to go out and play with you. We're not going to go play. You want activity? We can have activity, okay? But it's adult activity, right? I want him to feel, because he has female friends. I'm okay with my husband having female friends.
We're going to come back to that.
Yeah,
Keep going.
that doesn't bother me at all. But I want to be looked at as his wife. Proverbs 31, like, it didn't say anything about homie or friend and the virtuous woman, right? It didn't say that, and it's so hard to be two things to one person. Sometimes so think about that triangular perspective. Well, when am I your friend, and when are we in? So just to make things easier, I'm not saying that it doesn't work for some people. And it's my perspective, right? But for me, my husband treats me like his wife, and I find comfort in that. For me, to be feminine and to be free, you know what I mean? Like free and just be whoever I want to be and who I am in my marriage, right? That's happiness for me. Even with my perspective, we still don't have the balance of all three. But I feel like it's almost like some of my friends, they'll say, Nye, I need my friend right now, right? And so I turn off therapy hat. I don't give that kind of perspective. I give a completely different perspective, and it immediately turns it off. I feel it's the same way with me and my husband. Like, if he needs the friend, I have to just tap it. And then once he has what he needs in that friend in me, we could tap it off, and I can go back to being wife. But I'm mostly wife, sometimes friend when he needs it. But usually he gets what he needs from his wife.
So it's a long-standing debate, maybe, I should say, about platonic friendship. And you just mentioned that your husband has female friends and you're perfectly comfortable with that. What does that journey look like? Is it, hey, I have no reason to be fearful or worried that this can go whatever way? Or do you feel like people have to build that level of trust, respect when it comes to having friends of the opposite sex?
My first instinct to respond to that, Jeremy, is to say, I respect the past. Just because who am I? Just because I showed up, everybody else got to go? That helped you that helped you get through a certain place and space in your life? They have to go because Nye showed up. That doesn't feel organic or authentic to me. So that's my reasoning. But for those other reasonings like confidence and security in my relationship, I kind of feel like cheating and betrayal is a character flaw, right? So if that is what you do, no matter what situation is presented to me or you or anyone else, that's what you're going to do because that's what's in your heart. It has nothing to do with me allowing you to have female friends or me having male friends. That's a character flaw. So if my husband presents women that are his female friends to me and I get along with them, that's important that I actually get along with these women and I can see the friendship and the need for them in their life, I don't have any say in what they continue because I see it, I get it, right? But that's if I have to even go that deep. But yes, he does have to introduce me to them. And they have to be friends like prior to me, not friends that he's just casually meeting afterwards, right? Like you can have work associates and different things like that, but I'm talking about friends,
Friendship.
right? No. But yeah, that's how I look at it. My initial instinct is that, like, who am I? There are people in your life that are not all male or all female that have helped you get to a place in your life, and you need them in your life, even though you have a life now. That's what I believe.
Do you think that we can develop friendships with those of the opposite sex? So let's say that sorry to cut you off.
No problem.
Let's say he meets someone, I don't know, at work, and they are like interest, cool person, knows of you, respects you. Do you think that that can develop into a relationship or a friendship?
I do. I never now that is like stretching it, Jeremy. Stretching it, but I never exhaust the possibility. And so the short answer, yes, it is possible, and I am open to that. I am a person where if I've always been like this. If people don't treat me the way I want to be treated, I depart, right? And so if you find happiness somewhere else, it's not that I opened a door. I hate when people say that. Well, I don't like the word hate. Hate is a strong word. I don't like when people say, well, you allowed them to have friends and that's why this happened. That is not true. I'm not opening a door for my husband to cheat. If my husband cheated, it's because he's a cheater. You know what I mean? It's not because I opened the door. If God gives us free will, I can't give him free will with respect, respecting me. No. So, yeah, I do believe that two people can build a friendship, but it shouldn't be as strong of a friendship as someone that they've known for 5, 10, 15 years, and then they met their spouse, right? It still has to be more shallow a little bit. It can't be deep because I don't think a man that is married should get that deep with another woman, or a woman shouldn't get that deep with another man while they're married. So it can't be a deep friendship, but an enjoyable surface friendship. Yeah, sure, why not?
So put your therapist hat back on.
Okay.
You said if someone does something that I don't like, and I don't know if you said it that way, but you depart.
Yes.
Right?
Like, so everybody has deal breakers. Okay. If you break any of my deal breakers, I will depart.
Okay.
Everything else I can work through. But my deal breakers are deal breakers because those things are set in place to satisfy my soul, to keep my heart intact, and to keep my confidence strong. I see a lot of women who are beautiful women, but they keep getting into these really bad relationships, and their confidence, I can just see it just like decreasing to virtually they have no confidence. And if maybe they would have stopped halfway through, it wouldn't be so hard to build back up that confidence that they once had, right? And so a lot of times I tell some of my women clients, like, you got to figure out what you are. Are you an escape artist or are you a person who cannot leave, right? Because that will be your journey. I personally am an escape artist. So that means that my lesson in that area is to learn how to stay. But some women have mastered the art of staying and don't know how to leave. And it does also apply to men as well, too. But you kind of got to figure out your journey.
What is happening psychologically for a woman or a man to stay in a relationship that doesn't serve them? So, like the things that aren't feeding their soul in a positive way, not protecting their peace. But there are people who, for years, stay in relationships that are negative, as Future would say, toxic.
Future toxic. Woo.
So what is happening that prevents people from having the ability to be an escape artist?
Well, there are many things that can contribute to that. But one thing that is common is low self-esteem. They don't think they can do better. And another thing that is so common is that a lot of people stay in relationships because they're so focused on how things were and not on how things are. Right? So let's say you're in a relationship for a year, right? And the first 5 months were bliss. Then all of a sudden, something happens month 6 through month 12, and you just can't get right. It's time for you to leave, but you're spending the next 6 months trying to figure out how to get it back to month 1 through 5. You see what I mean? And so now you're unsuccessful. So now you're messing with your esteem because you're not successful at fixing the problem, not knowing that it's just time to let go, right? This person wooed you and no longer wants to do that. And so now you need to make a different decision. But you can't because it was so amazing the first 5 months.
But the woo is gone.
But the woo was gone. Woo, woo, woo.
Oh, man. That's good. That's some good stuff. So you've been doing this for 18 years. And how many of those years have you been doing this with your own business?
Since 2009. So that would be 13 years.
And what made you take that step into doing this on your own?
Well, my bosses were coming to me for help. And I was getting annoyed and frustrated. And I decided, oh, well, if they're coming to me, then I might as well do it. And then, so I decided, I just took a leap of faith, and I wasn't going to take the clients with me because of ethical reasons. I was going to start all over, brand new. I was scared as I don't know what, because I literally was like, I think I did it out of frustration. Like, why do y'all keep coming to me? But confirmation, every single one of those clients that I had left and came. And I've been rolling ever since. And I've gone back to school, studying different things.
Tell us them letters behind your name. What you got? What you got? I know you modest.
You know I am. I don't like doing that. I have a PhD.
Talk.
LPC.
Talk.
I have an NCC. I have a master's in education, master's in clinical psychology.
Multiple masters.
I actually got my PhD in industrial and organizational psychology, and then I had to go back to take more classes so that I can coincide with the license of a psychologist. And I think that's it. Industrial psychology, clinical psychology, psychology was my undergrad. Oh, well, my undergrad was I was a double major in psychology and philosophy. And then a master's in education. And I only went back to get a master's in education because I started this journey with autistic children. I was a school teacher, and at 21, school teacher, and the principal, Dr. Osborne, she was like, I've never hired a 21-year-old before, but I'm gonna let you do it, right? And she gave me all these perfect kids, right? And I just was like, I've always been behavioral ever since I was younger. I just liked the children that were more challenging. But she was scared, so she gave me all these perfect kids, and I was just like, and the older teachers were sending their kids to me, right? That the misbehaved kids, right? And I was like, look, I finished this first year, Dr. Osborne, just give me all the misbehaved kids, the kids that can't pass their benchmarks, I'll take them, right? I got all the kids to pass their benchmarks except for two. Those two boys were close. I had like 99% parent participation. And by year 3, Dr. Osborne said she was not going to renew my contract. And she said, I was like, what? Like, I'm making things happen here, right? And even an outside person had asked me to run an after-school program for kindergarten, from 1st grade to 8th grade. Was doing that, and she was like, you're not supposed to be here. And she gave me Dr. Daryl Goldenberg, and she said, go see him or whatever. And I already told him about you. They're going to pay you an impressive salary. And I was like, I'm too tough. I don't want to work with autistic kids. Like, I am stern, like, what if, what if it scares them, or what if I'm being mean, And he told me, he was like, I'm going to give you one client. It was in Marina Del Rey, California. Go visit the home, go visit the client, and come back and tell me what you think. And I was with them ever since. And that is what took me here. So I started getting frustrated with kids in Atlanta, with the teachers in Atlanta, because they weren't helping me. They weren't supporting what I was trying to do. So I went back and got my master's in education with a specialty in reading. And I wanted to teach my autistic clients how to read. And that's what I did. And I also taught them how to speak. So 50% of my clients that were autistic were nonverbal. All of them can talk too much, honestly.
That's good.
So that's why I got the master's in education, because it didn't really coincide with everything else. But I was like, I'm just going to do it myself. I did it myself. Okay, can we not talk about me anymore? I don't like this.
Man. So where do you see this going? Do you feel like I'm good? I'm in a good groove? This is me. I'm gonna ride this wave on out. Or are there other things that you hope to do?
I'm not sure. A lot of ideas popped in my head when you asked me that, but I'm not sure which way I want to go. But I am enjoying therapy. If I could estimate, and I could have this money just donated to me without kickback, or me having to do what they want me to do, I would want a mega school that had speech therapy, counseling, gym, occupational therapy, small classroom sizes, amazing teachers where I could pay them like crazy money. That does make me a little excited, because I've tried it before. I've had a check written to me to start a school, and started a school. And when it was successful, they wanted to raise the tuition. And all the people that came to the school were the people I recruited, right? And once the signer of the check was trying to take advantage, I pulled out, and my school went away, even though it's still technically presently existing, but it's not existing in the same form in which I started it.
Was that in Atlanta or?
It was in Dunwoody. It was called RAP, Winners Reaching Amazing Potential. And it was in 2013, 2014. I left September 2014. And now it's called something else. I won't say the name. But yeah.
You're going to have to do that again. Because I have some pretty radical thoughts on education myself.
I'm thinking about it. A lot of people, have said, "No, just start the school. We'll write you a check." I know a lot of important people, but that experience makes me feel like if I can't do it, like either winning the lottery or getting a mega grant, that I don't have to depend on other people and their ideas because they are wealthy, it's not going to work. Because ultimately, it has to come from a place of passion, and it has to be a passion mutual, not like, even though the person who first signed that check, they saw something in me and they wanted to do it, but they began to get greedy. So how do we eliminate this greed, right? I don't know. And until I can figure out how I'm going to be able to cope with that, I'm not ready to do that.
Makes sense. So before I get to this balloon, is there good money in this industry?
Which industry?
Therapy.
Private practice, yes. Well, yeah, that's all I can say is private practice, yeah. You can make a decent salary, but it depends on what's good money to you. To me, good money is $85,000, $90,000 plus $1,000. Yeah, you have to do private practice. Not only do you have to do private practice, you have to make sure you get a good stream of out-of-pocket patients. And for me, I do have some high-profile clients that I see that will pay for therapy because they want that time. They want that time slot. So if you're gonna inconvenience me,
You got to pay more.
you got to pay more.
When you say high profile, what do you mean? Like celebrity?
Celebrities, people who are presidents, VPs of major companies. Yeah.
You big time.
I am not big time.
I'm big time.
I'm not big time. I'm just helpful.
That's good. So on this balloon,
Okay.
I'm gonna blow it up,
Okay.
and I want you to take a moment to think about everything you've been able to accomplish, those letters behind your name that you don't like talking about, the business, the clients. But there are people that have those ideas, those abilities, that capacity that either haven't done it and unfortunately may never do it. And it's because something is standing in between them and their goals.
Okay.
So what do you see most frequently that stands in between people and the things that they want to do? We're going to write that on this balloon, and then I'm going to pop it, and we're going to take the life out of that, okay?
Okay. Okay.
So hopefully this marker works and shows up well. I don't know if y'all can see that. But the word is fear. Talk more about it.
I think fear is extremely debilitating. I mean, you think about it, sometimes when you are afraid, you get nervous. And when you get nervous, even though you have all this knowledge and you have all these thoughts, it immediately goes away because you're afraid. Or if you're playing a sport and you know you're good at it, you've rehearsed, you've practiced over and over and over again. But when it's time to perform and to show what you are, right? Fear comes in. And I feel like one of the things, like even in the Bible, is like fear is not of God. Like if you want to be great, like we're supposed to be wealthy, we're supposed to have peace, we're supposed to have an abundance, our cup is supposed to run over. But fear, like I even tell my little boy, you may feel fear, but you will not respond to fear. And that feeling, because we all have it, you got to ignore it. Like, no, you're your biggest hater when you're afraid. You worried about all these outside haters. No, you're your hater, right? We are not going to fear. We're not going to respond to it. We're going to feel it because we're human, right? But that means do it. To me, fear means do it. Just let it go. And I think that's what stops people from.
Drop the mic.
Bam.
So we're going to take the life out of fear. We're in a really nice hotel, so hopefully they don't think somebody's shooting or something like that. You embarrassed? Sorry.
They're getting ready to put us out.
So tell people where they can find you. If people are interested in therapy, are you taking clients? If so, how do they get in touch? All that good stuff.
Well, I am not taking clients right now, but my website. But I'm always open to consulting, referring, giving guidance. TherapyShopATL.com. I would like to shout out one of the places where I did my residency. It's this beautiful woman, Black-owned business owner. Her name is Shelby Green. She runs this nonprofit organization called Raven's Nest. She is trying to do amazing things within her community. I absolutely respect her and adore her. And I would refer any and everybody to go to Raven's Nest Foundation for any type of therapeutic services that they may need, and medical as well.
Cool. This was fun.
Yeah, it was.
I appreciate it. I feel like I've been in counseling. All right.